someone needs to, Nikhil needs to hit up a match and fill in the beginning.
Yes. Ellie.
Yeah. Contention one is the whole team. The dichotomy perpetuated in Western society between culture and nature portrays the environment as a machine to be controlled, or the only shot of preserving humanity to recognize the ontological value of the non-human world. Zen 13. Diversity sustains life, heterogeneity of ethics offers but alternatives to environment across the history, registered countries, in terms of hegemonic society to homogenize the ethos of the colony of Western thought, disregard diversity. Culture, nature, dichotomy, made explicit by Descartes started to build previous to put universal physics, not separate from the ontological. The shift from myth to logo and to technically create a freaking object or reaching the objective of these particular foundation of opposition between nature and culture, the similar secular view of nature was fabricated. The rest of the anthropocentric environmental ethics of the hegemonic new vision emerged natural objects and social subjects views were axiomatically separated. Established nature of the machine, the current environmental crisis brought on by the massive extinction of species ecosystem and culture necessarily demanded a profound rethinking of nature, demands change in people's environmental ethics. It is try or die to prevent extinction, and American economy that destroys the Western economy successfully challenges the root cause of environmental exploitation. Zen 13. Ecogony emphasizes fear associated with groups, cosmos, the interrelationship of entities. Ecogony emerges with the epistemological potential, signifying the understanding with the biotic and abiotic environment. The main issues revealed because of biocultural ethical concerns is assumed within ecogony. The approach to comprise the differences with the food settings, Amazonian groups, the sacred to offer solutions to complex environmental problems. American ethics and philosophies are alternative modes of conceptualizing and acting. The Hoti resonates in essential aspects, the reification of one perception of nature, minimize the Western possibilities to rethink of the ordinary. Any language do not have languages do not have words approximating Western nature, nor our social culture view. The country of Western terms, according to nature society, imply April or two spheres to with no sense of a single sphere of life. Nature is non-human divinity, does not exist as one. There's one sphere of life, and non-divisible, and all entities in organism and environment to know a non-detachable totality to care for all abiotic components of a constitute the main pillar of Jodi ecogony. And destruction of the Amazon is now because of economic pressures. A framework of sustainable policy is critical. WWF 5. Market pressure prior to the Amazonian Amazon environmental prices not only loss of biodiversity and habitat but decreasing life quality threats and the lack of policy to support sustainable development of research, protection, and ability of government to establish and enforce legislation regional programs that push constitute development, encouraging the clearance of forest of the efforts to protect the region and continue to be threatened by unsustainable economic demands. And the Amazon is the number one biodiversity hotspot of the CSM 12. Reaching the biodiversity hotspots to threaten the highest biodiversity ecology in the world. Number one, the Amazon rainforest is renowned for its support of the plant species. It's been not found anywhere else. It's also home to more primates and more insects. And biodiversity is key to the sustainability and functioning of the overall biosphere. Hooper all 99. The ecosystem function reflects the collective life activities amongst animals, micro ecologists, and specific features into biotic energy materials move between the two ecosystem processes are quantified by the rates and dynamics of the ecosystem process. Every organism contributes to reason biodiversity, play a business emphasis on the uniqueness of individuals' species and contribution, and biodiversity loss outweighs and turns their impact 10-2K. Homo seems to have brought about mass extinction on scales and not since the dinosaurs of the globalization, nothing short of the end of the world for natural species extinction forever. The ecosystem they inhabit will not recover. Biodiversity is part of the common heritage of humanity, deserves full legal protection. None of us can live without the wild. The insects are so essential. If they were to disappear, humanity cannot analyze more than humans. The land would return devoid of life, defending biodiversity preservation. Humanity self-interest is easy and unexploited. Species might give high world food. Farmers and ecological services. Numerous organisms across the area. We breathe the water we drink. The species conservation yields ecosystem protection. Large animals may great utilitarian value with the urgent protecting collection of species helps protect the ecosystem. The loss of biological diversity is a great problem facing humanity. The destruction of natural habitats is worse than even energy depletion, economic collapse, living nuclear war, or conquest by totalitarian government. And the Hoti tribe demonstrates an environmental ethic that can improve biodiversity and challenge the ideology that the separate nature of society. The impact is destruction of all life and adaptation of indigenous policy in Venezuela is key to the Amazon Zen 13. There's solid enough for sustaining Hoti environmental ethics and the overall ethos towards biodiversity social enhancement of the plants we harboring regional forests and increasing the Venezuela richness is the same by dynamic intervention strategy to bring biological diversity. The Hoti are not just dynamic key actors in diversity of the biome. The Hoti lifestyle is not just instrumental impact of making them creative architects of rich Amazonian lands. The Hoti environmental ethics can be summarized in it depends on all entities, all have the same rights. Western notion of nature and society, one fully conflicting based on the has been accomplished to nature and society constantly strongly influenced by those political systems. Refine them to recognize the weight in policy making now compulsory now for the survival of life, and Venezuela will say yes to sustainable environmental policy. Imperiously ENS9. Leaders of the Americas reached a new spirit of funding the symbol of the handshake between Obama and Chavez. Declaration that includes many environmentally friendly provisions and voluntary partnership to advance towards solutions. The leaders want to send a strong signal of solidarity and cooperation. The leaders agree to manage our environmental responsibility. They agree to sustainable patterns, and the U.S. should adopt Hoti notion of moral responsible and sustainable engagement with the biosphere is 13. Interaction of the Hoti with the larger biophysical, spiritual for the production of life, having efficient management of sustained environment, the challenge how they think Hoti is saying, ancestral philosophy, there's simultaneous emotional, informed, and morally engaged violation of ethical norms, implicate punishment, to conserve respect for everything, acting, word and thought, have a clear conscience of temporality, continuity, social responsibility. Certainly, Westerners can appropriate these notions to create more than destroy, and thus the plan of the United States federal government to substantially increase its environmentally sustainable economic engagement toward Venezuela. Contention 2 is ethics. Debate over governance strategies and leadership and international relations increase responsibility and sustainable environmental framework. Now is key for our education. PNAS 11. As ecosystem is becoming increasingly urgent to identify governance strategies, almost all studies were at a subnational level with a few analysis at the international scale. The lack of a grid office to support all based ways to find natural resources and effective conservation programs. We analyze the great international strategies, the benefit ecosystem service, sustainable use of resources, and biodiversity contention. The common resources are open, heavily overexploited, have been replaced by institutions on a strong community management that can provide effective conservation, improving recognition of the values of the ecosystem, supports economic instruments to promote effective conservation. It is important to consider a range of tools within the envelope of institutional capacities, including leadership and our Hoti methodology. Understands the interconnection between all life forms means that we value life for its ecological merit, not for its individual human profit. This disrupts the anthropocentric construction of the human subject inherent in Western society. Z 13. The Hoti cosmos is composed of residues and full exercise necessary to avoid the system of collapse and interconnection. Unremitting, the Hoti recognize the lack of limits of entities which nurture and reduce the ethos of belonging and care. We are floating in nothingness. Even people of harmful subjects and not restricted homo sapiens includes the environment. Example, the agency, decision-making ability, the personal function of Western systems, unified entity in an economy of sharing value bestowed on objects and subjects come from the recognition of the relationships and affirming the welfare of the ecosystem is a moral priority over other societal concerns. Elliot 97. Moral behavior must be grounded in ecology. Any system of ethical weakness is mistaken if it would cause a breakdown of the ecosystem which sustains the people who provide biological intensity as a veto over moral behavior. The welfare of all organizations is dependent on the health of ecosystem, the well-being of the ecosystem, the moral priority over any of its part, including the human society. And questioning ontology, epistemology, methodology are necessary for effective policy making. Cavalcanti 11. And ontological, epistemological, and methodological aspects influence policy. Ontological inquiries related to the assumption of what structure they one assumes the concept realizes concept provide a deeper, more thorough understanding of practical creation of theories. Marginalized groups have been excluded from international relations, which begins with the way that we are taught methodology deals with how research should be conducted. The fundamental research, starting point of research is ontological claims to research start from a person's point of view the world methodological often also making implementation of a important for understanding action and only adopting a future-oriented approach with students self-social inequality avoids a valid reactive approach to conflicts. Chorus level 4. Ideas can be led recognize sort of a future prevails against society is involved by temporal where it encourages individuals to screen on anything not alone. The two notion of underlying temporal limit responsibility is generational self-centeredness, bringing to place social short-sightedness. The absence of solidarity time reproduces something that disaster something for others to work about the arguments goes further to discredit evidence point to outcome contest. We need intergenerational something must monitor the impacts of action and assume responsibility for them. Advocating for an ethic of long-reach responsibility that refuses to accept indeterminacy gesturing toward process preparation, and there will be no major power war. Metabolic 99. Trends have made major war obviously by originally responsible for reducing its major war was once considered normal now they seem but that now seems towards the modern war is not the tool that modern weapons extracting the diminishing benefits of their use seem likely to bring much weight on the calculation of the lesser ones of wealth, and the environmental impacts disproportionately impact minorities. We must reverse ecological damage to alleviate racism. Go kill 96. Environmental and social issues are two sides of the same coin. Race interaction with the class to create a special environment of health and fundamentals. Risk has been found to be an independent factor in predicting the distribution of air pollution, contaminated fish consumption, the location of abandoned toxic waste. Many studies have shown the unholy lines between race and unpleasant environments. Environmental risk gets played on global scale and reinforce the inequity between so-called first and third world. Why are people called targeted? Because they seem as vulnerable, not because they're vulnerable.
Alright, why did you choose to include that last card against us for the first time?
It wasn't for the first time. We read against you last time too, just in the 2AC.
Okay, then why didn't you disclose before the round if you read against us?
We told you it was something that we had not read in the 1AC.
And then I asked, have you read in the 2AC? And then
No, you said so it could be in the 2AC.
Okay.
It could have been in the 2AC, and then we said, yeah.
Alright, cool then. So why haven't you added your 1AC previously?
Before we didn't
And
have
so
time in the 1AC.
you
So
told
we
me
changed
before the
highlighting
round,
to make
30
room for
seconds.
the idea of racism.
You told me before the round you've had 30 seconds in your previous round, so why have you not read it?
No, I had 30 seconds in the one other time, and that's when we first recognized that we had the time. So now we can introduce the
Okay.
ideas of racism. We've changed the highlighting in
What are
order.
sustainable development policies?
Sustainable economic engagement would be promoting a more an economy that doesn't depend on extracting more resources from the environment than the environment can provide, right?
Okay,
So
what
it's
do
no
those
longer
policies
trying to.
look like?
Sorry, what?
What do those policies look like?
Those policies look like ones that like things like subsistence farming, not trying to have storehouses of and slaughterhouses of mass produced agricultural goods or cattle.
Okay, I want you to point out one card that has a picture of what this would look like in the context of Venezuela.
So
The one quote, please.
in the context of Venezuela,
Yeah,
the
just
one card that
maybe a piece of evidence that says you're planning.
That says what, sorry, what are you looking for? Like what part of it?
I want a piece of evidence that describes your plan, as you have written it in your plan text.
The entire thesis of the affirmative has been to promote sustainable economic engagement.
I want a quote on what those sustainable economic policies will look like
In the context of what the Houthi have done, or in the context of what the U.S. can do?
Venezuela.
What? What Venezuela can do?
Yes.
The F is U.S. engagement.
Okay, so what use is engaging towards Venezuela? Why is engaging towards Venezuela necessary?
Because that's where the Houthi live, and we can model their form of environmental ethics toward the Amazon. And
Model their
like,
form of
use this-
environmental ethics. Why are the Houthi necessary for us to model their lifestyles? If Elyse have done a bunch of studies on them, and she currently resides in the U.S.
She's actually lived among the Houthi, which is
I know.
why she knows all these things. Like,
Okay.
she did those sort of
And
studies.
she's in the U.S. Why do we engage with Venezuela? To know how to implement Houthi.
The reason why she understands the forms of the economy and the form of environmental ethics that the Houthi have is because she lived among them. Without
Okay.
engaging in Venezuela, we can't do that.
So we engage the Houthi people.
No. We engage with the country of Venezuela to
Okay.
adopt the environmental ethics that the Houthi have.
Okay. Do we engage the Houthi people?
Not as a direct mandate of the plan.
Not as a direct mandate of the plan. Which card says we need to engage Venezuela? I want to quote.
The last card that we read on the first advantage says that Westerners should appropriate these notions into their form of ethics.
Where's the word Venezuela in that quote you read?
It's not in that piece of evidence, but the rest of how we can't engage with the Houthi without engaging
Do the
in
Houthi
Venezuela.
want to engage with us?
Huh?
Do
We
the
don't
Houthi-
engage with the Houthi.
Okay. Actually, I have a couple more questions I'll take prep for.
Okay.
These sustainable development policies, what do they extend to?
Sorry, what?
These sustainable development policies, what do they extend to? Name an example of what one would look like.
It's a lot easier to explain what they would not be because all traditional understandings of Western economic policies
So
have
any
been
type of,
validated.
so you try to alleviate any types of environmental destruction.
It's more changing the problems with the current policy. Like I
So
said, it's a
name a
lot
current
easier
policy if there's a problem with it, how you change it.
over-exploitation of resources, over-exploitation of animal-like farming via like.
Second part, how would you change it?
The
Specific
farming?
policy, please.
We would give different policies to promote maybe the raising of smaller farm and
Oh my
local
God,
cattle
right.
instead of producing mass farming of cattle.
That was 4 seconds.
Three off case.
Another one.
Yeah, the next one we got.
Take a second.
How much more time was that?
6 seconds.
Good. All right. First off is the critique. Our personal agency should not be used as a vehicle of face for the federal government solvency. Rodriguez in 2008, we are appropriation of neoliberals, the United States domination in global ways, nothing unconscionable to expend our political energy in protesting American wars. After the left willingness to fundamentally tolerate our company willingness to abolish the institutional dehumanization, contemporary policing and imprisonment apparatus policies, something takes for granted the preeminent domestic warfare. The non-profit left seem to be engaged in debt for managed domestic warfare. Why do we forfeit the possibility of radically challenging dislodging threat from implement condition domestic warfare short-term winnable policy reform one movement such as the political rupture is existing technique and management of domestic warfare one political movement toward class the controversial disidentification was sustained. Now racism must be rejected in every instance. Its amendment in 2000. The struggle against racism is to be undertaken with a concession to accept the racist universe to endure fear and just violence and one can't find a more order, let alone a legislative order of racism because racism defines the exclusion of the other and his or subject to violence, domination, and just endangered by that all other society exists which is of the seeds of its own days of refusal racist condition for all morality, ethical choice, and mass political choice. If the principle that accept the only conflict, violence, and discrimination will be allowed. Now, white supremacy is the only political system that governs the statical politics. We pass policies to staff by social construct wills. In 97, white supremacy is the only political system that made the modern world where you will not finish the term. The political theory, even though it comes from more than 2,000 years, mission is not accident. White states are racial, granted, state and political background against other states are highlighted. The African-American philosopher were waking away, not aggressively engaged in prominent debate. Is needed in a global theoretical framework for a situated discussion white racial constructs, one possible way, in connection with vocabulary, development contracts in the matter on knowledge system. Now, civil society maps itself by reconfiguration of right through freedom. Maintaining the position of anti-blackness is constructing the Americans' benevolent hegemony and coherence into wilderness. In 2003, slavery is the great level of black subject positionality. Our president of the back of the grammar hegemony spread is incoherence and no other body function so complete which responded to a complete disorder blackness today. After the dereliction, black body functions to map of gratitude of violence roots in civil society, possible whoever said black, said like whoever said prison, said like whoever said aid, said like political desires today are anti-black, even if dance with dance of black liberation, make radicalism more dangerous to the United States because they should puts on possibility, political refusal, information program, complete disorder, one machine increases disorder, escape political movement, in that case, it is marked by the very negarophobia into the personality, black objects, gender, disconfiguration, civil society, isolation, racially oppressed group, release determination of humanity, variable in 84 long-term institutional racism exists, social technically interrupting confrontation with the intellectual artists failed to combat racial and gender inequality, creating an indirect contribution, ideological justification for president has the guarantee to work through the pursuit of peace and social technically contributes to the diamond national child if the peace of black American remains isolated, the result may be termination of humanity is self-and performance, all conscientization, a process to name our world, understand forces of oppression, results in real world change, those achieved in 2007, conscientization, being able to name their meaningful education, recognize, understand, effective forces of oppression, have no lives and process, both the constant clarification, woman remains within them while we move further, where promotes recognition of world dynamically and making such recognition offering to black people who work against oppression, beginning with their efforts to transfer to the world, living in the world, important steps to actively changing it. Next up, top quality trade interpretation, economic engagement, trade loans or grants is resting in 2001, the economic concentration agreement promotion for and in the form of loans and grants. Now, engagement question revolution, now voter for fairness and education, we must define what economic engagement is to have a good question to make ourselves good advocates for future debates. Now, next up is the capital tax and United States program, which is substantially increases environmental, sustainable, economic, sustainable policies. Immigration will pass right now. Compare 1-2. Bader personally favor to reform. There's a searching for diversity improvement. Priority state with Hispanic for the will try to put it into a win-win position. You will for Democrats to accept the conservative version of reform. The GOP plan all these tolerance. You'll find the only way out to the bipartisan directive. Now, plan trade political capital. Oppenheimer 12. The Republican platform makes the plan on how the hardline policy toward Venezuela, narco-terrorist state of Venezuela, representing increased threat to U.S. security authority, which goes towards the current president wanting the last of Venezuela become a narco-terrorist state because Iran outpost in Western Hemisphere. That political capital is key. Orlando Sentinel 11-1. The battle over immigration could be continued with popular movement, but it's plenty of political capital. Obama leader in post-war to make it happen. There are plenty of teleport opportunities, security, talent, works down and so forth. The House Republican laws, but reform won't have a chance without Obama making full use of his police department. Now, failure collapses the economy, decline in 13. A quarter of U.S. technology and energy business system for forward retirement baby boomers act on the challenge. Few economic will be improved by immigration. The healthy worker playing into social security. You're concerned about now also the immigrant entrepreneurship security of science and taking forward students is the most obvious solution. Now, economic decline leads to calculation, crisis escalation. This is Harrison Burroughs 09. Potential for greater conflict could grow in the volatile economic environment. Terrorist will become self-radical. Could lead to escalation conflict. Play to focus on preemptive lead to escalate French conflict over recent work the research and dealing with castle practice perception could result in anticipated conflict build up regional capability could lead to counter-browsing cooperation likely to increasingly difficult launch case. The affirmative, the negative interpretation is that the affirmative must have a solvency advocate in the context of environmental, sustainable, economic engagement. The crossings of the 1AC was clear that they do not have a card that defends the context of Venezuela, defends environmental, sustainable, economic engagement, what that would look like. This variance is a voting issue because the negative does not have the ground or the necessary clash to, in order to have a clash filled debate, to have a meaningful debate with the affirmative that distorts our advocacy, so impact by the top count. Now, anti-anti percentage discourse fostered a problematic race-neutral mentality. White liberal activism refused to interrogate the cultural characterization of our relationship to the environment. This JMB in 12 white food activists and no indigenous culture has a responsibility on understanding privilege, white racial allegation implied that elite with farming family of the concerned indigenous and fishing conflicts only in the person claims of Columbine, but also prevented relationships in food systems supporting environmental health. The tendency to universalize white violence and race racial cultural difference from promoting the discourse of rape by proposing discourse on non-needy animal rape activism and vegan practices or coded when the vegans and color respond to such a coding animal rape activism associated with a radically left programs of when capable participant over race can be normally found within radical racial organization could avoid away from anti-racism reflection on the way to select privilege colorblind racism has a chilling effect just with the discourse on critical system analysis for reaffirm racism despite good intentions these conservation policy decisions and codify environmental activity environmental benefit white. Now discussion of the environmental problem thing the disproportionate effect of minority established privilege marginalized minorities and doom environmental strategies wise in 2011 color movements can be played into a way to fail to give a voice into connection between giving the issue of racism and environmental active focus on the hometown pollution to blend the action below in your day-to-day environment, it should think people of color, the marginalized black, brown folk within the movement, reinforce racial division, inequality, which will climate active ecological crisis, global warming, fails to destroy what's climate change, should affect people to color, they undermine the ability of green movement to change, so we can reinforce white privilege to build a global movement and roll back to ecological catastrophe facing brown must have connected up to planetary discussion of real life. This will really currently which are disproportionate color to do anything and not only engagement for racial marginalized people of color and the concern bodies of weekend. The fight for some that the affirmative stance on racism is a disingenuous one. The last card that they added right before the round had not been added in before round, even though Vinay was able to get through the 1AC with 30 seconds left. This causes escape and the sidestepping, sidelining of race arguments in the context of environmental movements, which just proves that environmental movement operating from a white epistemology Yamato. Elemental 1 CRT facility integration on examine influence of the white concerning environmental law, the environmental movement is different by the normal perception of white mainstream American man. Attributes the text between environmental also social movement and environmental Elyse for the implemented primarily for white male mainstream perspective and the resulting productivity and universal and pure science whiteness and racial environment in one being non-white equal whiteness and assumed the whiteness itself largely explored critical race history to not rattling the history strand of white influence of privilege on the way which white shifts all racial realities. Now Venezuela will say no. This is Universal 13 Madrid terminated the talks with Obama and capital zero tone policy for Russia. I'm not going to stand with verbal aggression with Venezuela. Get away from empire. Do not mess with Venezuela. Maduro, the president, terminated accommodation station which cements part of the Venezuelan foreign ministry. What is the U.S. top diplomat in the world? I said, and the pressure now the white ideology excludes.
No impact biodiversity.
Okay. No impact to biodiversity. Sag off in 97. Elimination of creatures do not affect human iotas. Human which is 99% of fellow creature when extinct. The ecological process function in species are so productive will the fury even when surrender organism becomes extinct. The number and variety of buffers is set against the number of species beginning creating dramatically above the certain difference is little likely to make a difference.
Read the last
Slide representing a non-structural change of racial hierarchy which
No,
may
read the last part on my doc.
the no war prediction failed its door in 99 and the major one may not happen quickly but intense. Mark it intense.
And you read the say no evidence too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah, thanks.
Like what you want?
Yeah, can you just flash me?
Ready?
Yeah.
So you've now made a personal attack on me for not caring about racism, for adding a card to
It's
my
not a
1AC.
personal attack. We say their preemption of our racism argument just sidelines it. Like, if it's a really important discussion, you should put
If
it
the
in
entirety of our last round was to tell us that we should engage in, we should talk about racism and talk about the impact that has, like, based on the environment, why isn't adding it to the 1AC a logical conclusion of your education?
I mean, like,
You do that
if it was a
round
logical
one.
conclusion, you would have done it round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4.
Talk about the critique. Is the link based on the idea of, like, why is it you reading a plan text ceding all of our agency to the government?
There's several links. First, it's Rodriguez evidence saying that focusing on these like Venezuela economically sustainable practices in Venezuela shifts the domestic, it trades off from my domestic focus on the wars back at home, where these ecological processes are more entrenched in a anti-black
Ecological
civil society.
sustainability affects us all, right? So why is
Not
this
really,
a
not
change?
really, not really. You're trying
The environment doesn't
to.
affect us?
No, it affects us all. However,
You argue that it
that's
affects
like.
us.
That's overgeneralizing it. We say that essentializes like the experience people affect. Like the way that the environment affects a black person is different the way it affects a white person who can just turn on the AC and like not care about global warming, stuff like that. Like these effects you gloss over and we say that's a harmful one that first co-opts your environmental movement and second just dooms it to failure.
Why is civil society so irredeemable that we can't work within the state? And how so?
Yeah. Civil society is pretty bad.
Why?
Why?
Why can't
It
it
was
be
built
redeemed?
on the backs of slaves, slaughtered Native Americans.
Why can't that be changed?
I mean, like, it can be changed. Call for the death of the United States federal government and turn it down.
Is that your alternative?
No, that's not our alternative.
So what is the
Why would
alternative?
your alternative
Conscientization
solve?
is a step in towards that. We would say that the alternative process of conscientization is how we do perform our walking away from America.
So why isn't changing the exploitative policies of the United States also a stepping stone?
I don't think you realize that you don't change the exploitative policy of the United States. Like this round does nothing about what the United States does for its economic engagement. Also, you couldn't show what the United States federal government would do differently about its economic policy. Like you say that maybe we will stop like factory farming.
So you've
However,
argued that we should burn
what's the
down
alternative?
the entirety of the government, but you've also argued that we should protect its economy. Why should you be able to do this?
Michael?
Why should you be able to read an econ impact when you critique civil society?
No, the economy impacts not just in the context of civil society, it's in the context of not just everyone in the world. It's a double testing of whether or not your environmental impact should come first, and if you win, that civil society could be changed, that we should focus on that. That's the next level analysis we clash with the affirmative.
Why isn't the AFA trade loan or grant?
your
defended
sustainable
an economic
economic
engagement
engagement.
plan
You don't even
that's
know
valid.
first, that's definitely not trade, because you're not trading anything with Venezuela or Georgia.
We've used
Second, it's not a loan or
economic
grant, you're not
engagement
giving
plan.
anything to
What's the
Venezuela.
status of the alternative encounter?
So that's what's also logical option.
Alright, we'll start some good.
Read the ones about small.
Separate. 6:34.
Yeah.
You know, pull it up, and the order's gonna be the case debate, topicality, the critique, and then the counterpoint. Here's the flashlight.
Case T,
Uh,
K, chemical?
Yep.
Alright, whenever you're ready.
All right. Good.
Three
conceded arguments. First is that extinction is inevitable. Environmental destruction and cultural homogenization has brought us to the crisis point to not act and to discredit these problems as a violent, temporarily limited responsibility and generational self-centeredness that prevents a necessary response to long-term problems that damns all exist as a cross evidence. Second is that we challenge the root cause of war. The pursuit of natural domination for resources provides the justification for imperial warfare, viewing interconnectedness of societies and nature and removes the incentive for aggression. And third is that we subsume your epistemology and ontology arguments. We challenge Western understandings of the biosphere as standing reserved to be exploited. We recognize value through interconnectedness of essence, not static identities. Intrinsic value theories that direct challenge to modern scientific rationality. The affirmative has a solvency after the incentive evidence describes a world in which we recognize ecogeny as a universal value and employ those in Western understanding and traditional epistemology. Just because we cannot give you examples because the society in the status quo is damned by the fact that we are not viewing ecology as variable does not mean that we should lose this round. There's also zero ground loss. You read all your arguments that have not been implicated at all by the fact that we didn't have one card saying it. They all have a no affirmative to be held to the standard because there's not one card to describe the entire 1AC and all the different permutations of advantages. Now, there JMB evidence says that, quote, white people know nothing of indigenous people. Too bad that's not our affirmative because we adopt a Georgian methodology that understands indigenous people and does not look over the questions of ways to just look at the question of which race interacts best with the environment. The affirmative does not ignore disproportionate effects on the environment. We read a 1AC card with literally the exact same type of Gargi evidence. It's not in descent that is an influent regressive standard. The whole 1AC know how do they know the exact strategy of war? We deploy our 1AC. There's also no impact in this incident, which is probably just with the fact that we view environmental impact as minorities and important. The environmental movement in the status quo are these environmental movements in the status quo are white, not the preferred. And we are arguing for a universal identity and a disindividualization away from the fact of static identity, one of universal plurality that accept all beings and accepting value, including non-humans. Now, the saying on debate, even Venezuela says don't be a corporation. Federal, U.S.-led international cooperation is crucial to global environmental governance and environmental sustainability. Dispatch to the compound SC8, protecting from climate issues by the U.S. and Venezuelan international corporation, the central climate references, the global scope card to protect biodiversity, prevent pollution, conserve forests. You actually with the next defeated the environmental outcomes used for what is largely the given economic strategy possible, the financial technology, U.S. relationship with international policy, and more effective environmental government in the U.S. and sometimes the external solution to the impact of sustainable products maybe the U.S. potential for aggressive the United States laggard and international environmental policy. Venezuela will say has been Venezuela says guard evidence is assumance of a sustainable environmental policy, and Obama and leaders of Venezuela have already said yes to this in the past, which means they're going to say yes in the future. The impact of biodiversity is the loss of all life because it is critical to the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the ground that we stand on, which means that all of these species interconnect. Is also their impact to the fact that I read this card that says there's no impact to literally species dying. In fact, prove that they were used to protect their ontological value inherent because the environment is critical. A radical rejection of traditional Western understandings keep it quarter 92 people want to manage resources, keep it fraud, rivers, one, human natural resources, the early oil for future generations, dam, its human population with rising mutation, their need to manage, and we have to become a decided manager, so to spread that we set ourselves to manage the earth, self-market earth itself there. This not going to be any sort of war because anthropogenic ordering is the foundation of war. We saw the root cause coaching, not even mistake to assume that categories of survival and neutral preservation life could be distinct development between human life, who's led to conserve life, is marked by higher knowledge, not human life, is relative to relatively raising human life, considered war, includes animals from war property, is able to normally consider life from the order of distinction, market distinction, and there are extended moments in a world that largely new parts like in the war due to mutually assured destruction and the lack of incentive because everyone will die on topicality. We the environment is a subset of economic engagement. Vein 7 economic diplomacy is specified by the economic issues of the parties economy determines the scope of the economic negotiation policy relating to production, movement, exchange, and service, and investment, including the development system regulation. Is focused selectively on the issue of trade finance and global environment. The topics of high political form like economic diplomacy, economic engagement should be defined as the means and not an end counter interpretation. Economic engagement refers to a movement of goods, service, and investments. It's a modifier for different forms of mechanism instead of specific goals. Does not justify military auto 2K economic negotiations are those which parties demands offered in related action, murder, production, movement, exchange, goods, service, and investment, money, information, regulation, trade, and finance. Increase property, the absence of security negotiations. Their center concrete markets, economic versus the issues of the parties discussing the literature. As with the goals of the negotiation, might have in mind that their ends place the definition, explosive precision is key bulb in the 5 economic secrets of interest meaning government action. They turn the effect in national economic environment, leading ultimately with the use of economic techniques of violence, economic policy, nuclear war, foreign economic policy, and the foreign side effect, economic management, considered foreign economic policy, and different between nuclear tech, and here's the whole market helpless environment inside the entire thesis of the F, in fact, turns a violation. We just stop seeing economy as distinct from nature, keeping outside our society, predictability, every topic is diverse, fragile environment, proves you have predictable negative ground, no ground loss of your environment goes to every year. They should have enters education of women and address sustainable environment cooperation necessary. You create a very environmental structure, and then it means education surrounding it is created decisions making this reasonability protects prevents you read to this way literature text abuse, now the relative critique framework, the negative strength to prove that the result of the plan is not most desirable, and the affirmative gets to weigh the one you see a focus on policy is necessary, McLean one, whose social criticism disease, and even allowed to theory requirements of multiple civil job, refusal to take philosophy one, but in a political wealth, and know what happens when left choose active and adapt spectral to think of facts, but see political hallucination to expect, but their tells you know you say help for political possibilities, market political possibilities, the alternative fails to address the structural question of anti-predatory depression. If the slave body is truly the locus of fungibility, how can the neg explain the inability of slave master to eat the slave questions like this reveal an underlying reliance on anthropogenic hierarchies, fully searching the human master cannot eat the human human slaves being articulated in the political freedom, the torture and kill and take human life with absolute prohibition, the human animal slave that only do a single purpose most can inhibit the modality should ensure human interest, speech, population, function, the calibrated human slave, one actual speech, to higher creed, love, interest, that it's only different division between human animal and that class. We are not accommodating government warfare or permutation. You should do the plan and endorse, you should do the alternative and endorse the standard of accountability. We should not be held accountable for all the federal government's actions. They must be only to our ethical orientation, not their plan act or only policy. Terrorist radical cheek is effective. Their ultimate fails and generate factors. Their conscientious evidence about Asian Americans will simply contradict alternatives. There's no possibility for any sort of if that's the black body instead of there's no co-option maintaining two pragmatism as good as they work on the public environmental decisions, make problems and all complicated these pragmatists and focus on predicting effect consequences and workable solutions along with the dogmatic social and the good environmental food with the interesting and flexibility pragmatism and indeed but if a party middle ground of valid environmental games and disagreements pragmatism is not only problem solving environmental presenting the long as persistence genuine physician we control the root cause publicly starting racialized hierarchies of life deformed by parallel with the key street and there's neither socialization nor positive naval the principle domesticated about that applies most livestock not only the domesticated animal for the model of the first human slavery like the government western hierarchical thing of the European American racial theories they call the conflict exploitation low race not human animal brand by using vermin exterminating from the lives of the influence and exchangeable market exchangeable there's no so there's history proves that there are different states in America they didn't celebrate the cultural bachelor by church gatherings and different songs proves that it can still and then social society now the counterplan first it does not solve the entire case some ways the Joji tribe they did not engage with Venezuela therefore does not have people on the ground understanding the methodology which means they don't solve the mindset second is the PNA and AS7 says only international environmental cooperation is critical to allow for environmental analysis to claim different educational benefits and cause and also benefit Venezuela's key to warming adverse 13 the death of the president was the dwarf climate change Henry 50 they created the global treaty commission supports the question of the key Arctic of annually stop that cross events for the exploitation to oil through the game over the climate economy to sometimes shifting all countries of low carbon economies market economies warming is extinction people 7 there's one major accidents for global warming one of that articles companies publishing reference and returns down that predict warming are already experienced on so this is best diet to extinction national consistent latest sea rise 20 feet global warming is equivalent to global winter better support scientifically push about their channel team is return to conditions counterpart language policy because it has the federal government interested in environmental policies which are public with Republican permutation do both to plan the carbon permutation adapt the ethical orientation towards the environment and the carbon permutation do the economy without any policies that portion of a recent college proves no effect the economy of our net 9 globalization world recession and no effect the nature of security landscape diverse sort of conflict was basically time of determination live with the most important external treaty besides the resources suggested there's only potential to say that say word both sides they requiring nuclear capacity probably only unrelated to global economic trends CIR won't pass CPR 1-2 despite majority support for immigration only talk about the room making of Baker going to the House rules require yes when they turn over to Republicans and nothing will pass the best 31 in these other 11 the bipartisan texts are likely to get better the congressional election the Republican the Cummins will fix channel the Tea Party conservative polls will the conservative Obama's not key checks to all 20 immigration reforms nothing to do with Obama the fact recent international college house solution weighing the risk of long-term Democratic decline gets immediate conservative revolt prospect of Obama's second term remaining conservative fiat means that if one doesn't insane in this cost for the capital they said it's not unique U.S. has been pushing for greater relations in the AP 13 United States have put the times of Venezuela to distinct warmer times last month we are having a possible relation that the other because the youth are pushing for environmental sustainability growing force of politics labor 12 youth activists interrupted the energy industry until 90% spent to polluters big oil slides are hurting the environment at risk come out with a defendability division began youth actually 90% environmental emissions across the world plot Keystone and grabbed the the different climate governments house attacks at Obamacare some immigration market watch 1-3 Alliance doesn't mean a big hurting immigration reform 2014 item when I can't return the attack in Obama's health law house being considered legislative movement security requirements for Obama's health care interest exchanges and Venezuela engagement is popular expect that 13 Washington shall be figure out how to keep Venezuelan leaders Chavez had created headers for the U.S. administration and strong anti-American rhetoric mark and rhetoric conditionalities of voting age or contributions one condo stalls with offense that means that the U.S. sees the center for the best opposite positions and their interpretations are fully aggressive.
Correct. Seconds. First, let's talk about this add-on. Explain how you self-warming.
By engaging in Venezuela and getting them to change their environmental policies to one that's more sustainable, it makes it away from the oil.
Wait. I thought crossing of the 1AC was clear that you do not engage Venezuela, that you don't change.
Whoa, no. We definitely engage in and toward Venezuela via U.S. policy.
How do you change what
we do not fiat a change of Venezuelan policy. We only fiat a change of U.S. policy, which we say leads to changes in Venezuela's economy and environment.
I mean, like, Joji tribe is already in Venezuela. How does Venezuela change its policies?
Venezuela changes its policy because the affirmative is a negotiation, a series of discussions that leads to economic engagement with the main government of Venezuela. We do not engage with the
You engage the government of Venezuela,
yeah.
However, the Joti tribe is not the government. How do you engage the Joti
We do not engage, we do not economically engage the Joti tribe, right?
Okay,
that wouldn't be topical. What we do is we have people from the United States go on the ground in Venezuela, talk and change the policies of environmental and sustainability, which results in adopting a lot of the standards that...
the United States will send commandos and like kidnap
No,
them
not commandos and kidnap people, obviously not. We're fiating a sustainable environmental policy, which is one that does not overexploit resources in the world, which includes human as well as non-human species.
So let's get back to the topic, warming.
Sure.
China, India, how did they change?
Getting other countries on board is a starting point for getting international movements towards sustainable environmental policies. Not only does our PNAS evidence say that
what these international movements will look like.
it would look like countries not valuing, not over-exploiting resources to the point where they're going to run out, not trying to preserve oil for future generations, trying to adapt things that are
So
not.
like the sweatshops in China will like suddenly change their mind, like.
The affirmative does not fiat a change of
Yeah, but
sweatshops
how-
in China,
yeah, then why won't
but
they?
we do say that by adapting this methodology, in this round as well as the federal government, it means that we start valuing the things that are inherent to our life and the value of what makes us
so,
beings.
Like the Chinese suddenly values what the United
That
States
is
values.
not in any way
Then how do you
particular
how do
to
you
the
combine?
act,
I'm
right?
like confused.
We are arguing for a methodological change in the way that we as individuals
Okay.
approach the government and the environment.
Reasons to reject the team conditionality, is that it?
Yes.
Okay, clarification, second permutation on the camp plan, what was it?
Permutation, do the part of the plan that ethically orientates individuals as respecting the sustainability of the environment and do the counterplan.
So permutation do both?
Permutation, do the parts of the plan that has us as individuals reorient ourselves towards the environment and do the counterplan.
All right. Case arguments, how would these international agreements come out from engaging in Venezuela? Who cares about Venezuela?
Who cares? Why is that? That's not at all about what our path is.
You're saying
Our-
our arguments were based off of how international agreements can come out of this affirmative. How, why does like people look
Obviously, after the judge votes affirmative, if they do, an international agreement is not signed. We are debating about the merits of that and the methodology of that.
Alright. How much prep do we have left?
You use 10 seconds plus the 40 seconds of quatrax questions, so 9, 10.
9, 10?
Yeah.
So it might take, I guess, a quarter probably. Extinction.
Stop right.
I have 706 left.
Afropessimism, the counterplan, and then the case.
Can you say that again?
Afropessimism, the counterplanet in the case.
My computer decided to not respond. Oh, there it goes.
Anybody not ready?
I don't have it yet. Okay, Conklin.
Yeah. Alright, ready?
Yeah.
Alright. Our role of balance is based on which team best literary press groups it's based on the way based on ontology, epistemology, and justification, which is what they're counterclocking today. We can see that right now. He said we did that better because the Afropessimism K, the impact is triad, the isolation life resulting in termination of humanity, the institutional racial eruption and confrontation, pieces of one is humane, failing common racial gender equality, contributes to the prejudice and social pressure by hesitant the pursuit of social justice. We contribute to the militarization and the ideological justification for what we're doing. That's a piece of military evidence. Our starting point has been come from the black body. Yes, alternative evidence of conservation might be the concept of Asian Americans, but the reason why Asian Americans are a good starting point to break down the battle of black body is because of the myth of the minority within the status quo. This is why I'm firmly arguing about it. And the positionality of the Asian body is used as the justification for the black culture poverty because the white supremacy uses the Asian body being like, why the other minorities, why can't you be just as good? This is why anti-blackness perpetuates itself within society. Now there's a couple implications to this argument. First, it turns the case because environmental destruction would not be impossible without the fungibility of slavery. That's willingness to translate the discourse that elaborates justification for the slave, not product of human being, having suddenly miraculously recognized slave. Match the discourse for itself, further evidence of slave's fungibility. The fungibility complies blackness, white enables white flights of fancy, while increase the likelihood of the comparison to have this disagreement. Without discourse to its violence, the so-called discourse of modern Marxism, feminism, post-colonial, sexual liberation, ecology movement, political discourse, counter-grammar suffering, whose constantly elements exploitation, alienation, by not the counter slavery, create the human culture disparate ethnic from Europe to the Middle East. Now this is the reason why the affirmative can't solve. Yes, you might change the instant environmental ethics of the United States, but no, you do not change the fundamental reason why the United States federal government is unethical in the first place. Those anti-black discourses are based on the fundamental slave. The reason why the United States federal government exists to be questioned, for questioning anti-black things. Also another framing issue is that extended the argument about how environmental justice disproportionately affects minorities within the 2AC. Do not let the minority do that because the negative black strategy is predicate of the 2AC would make one understand making back because that means that the negative affirmative always win, which is unfair to the negative because they have the 2A on the limelight. They see framework except our interpretation is that they have to defend the scholarship of the 1AC. White supremacy is the overarching political system that causes subjugation and enforcement of civil society. Your balance should be embracing of the ethical justification to friend these actions. Now there's a double line because only our case allows for the real world education the individuals who are affected by the current social pressure. Your impacts are true and we're all going to die. And extinction will happen next year, which means that none of your policy education arguments matter. So we only consider lots of scholarship the basis or your impacts are false and you should only consider yourself the violence that you produce. Now mainstream social science structure by white supremacy that shines to us where the frameworks of dominant policy and believe James those in power who are open wide away. Traditional policy that characterized by the assumptions of objects is key. Well, that all those objects here the same relation. This is why the last policy now assume the disciplinary status encouraging private policy coming to proceed the research and find this way. Traditional policy now is grounded in falsely narrow instrument of view rationale. Massive bias allows policy to present different kinds of news when to prevent those power. Now your item is better too because the simulation is actively based on minimizes the agency of the debaters as Mitchell and Suzuki taught toward conscious rounds full of skill fans and go under the public honor. The debaters of color performance literature and one time debates a place where the students count diversity of voices. This model is to counter drift and deliberation and emphasize audience engagement. The goal to make students look at issue to raise audience conclusions. Such an audience centered approach, cultivate driven argumentative style, and the ability to argument skills to impact wider views of public literature. McLean card contradicts the Calvin Klein card you read in the YC because it said the Calvin Klein card specifically said that we need to look at ontology, epistemology, those type of demand structure. We have to see that, which is the reason why you should view the ethics of the YC first. Now finally they said that all the ultimate is not solved because the alternative is solved because alternative is the process of conservation, the process of conservation, the process of learning the world, and learning how we use this world. We do that by bringing down the myth of the minority. Now this has specific implications for the potential of anti-blackness because this model of rethinking could have revolutionary potential. That's what this thing's supposed to have. The answer to see how a scientific conflict paradigm analysis and movement dedicated to overthrow the system order. The compromise made with the modern elements were due to what is open the market to the political agenda. Predicate conflict paradigm analysis. We advocate power to quote question who pose the greatest power around. Now also the alternative functions to win this debate because it's a questioning of whether or not the United States federal government should act on this first. Say yes, we have massive new policies. And no, your reform statute is not possible. That first for that first questioning the ethicality of the United States federal government. They say permutation. We have too many links for you to win a permutation. First, that the YC should be a static offset. We cast the ethical ontology of epistemology YC. If they are not bound to this, that gives us no negative ground because the cost of movement target that should be rejected. Now you should leave Venezuela alone. Whether the U.S. engage in Latin America is based on white supremacist norms. Now this independently turns the case because even if the U.S. does
something environmentally sustainable policy. They will leave Venezuela in the dust to suffer from an unstable environment. Door in 2001, Latin America have an internal plantation for all use of feed power U.S. A long way penalty union pillars of classical systems to prime minister. Middle class people living during cardiac Latin America. U.S. multinational corporations have a branch of Latin America. U.S. dictatorship attorney, even the water resource of U.S. corporations for rate governments protecting healthcare, education, national borders, the race of imperialism, claim that people don't want to create new values. Now, the other link to this permutation is the argument about the Djibouti tribe. They don't have a single piece of evidence saying that Djibouti wanting to interact with the United States, stealing their methods and using for the U.S. capitalist uses is a bad form of ethical policy making that justified that was the same way that the United States federal government is calling that stuff on the backs of Indians in the colonial period. You replicate that. Now, the United States federal government is raised into racist. You cannot change it. Vegan 2000, the U.S. side raised a racist system, large-scale action never taken regal system racist foundation. These interracial were designed to keep anti-black oppression in place. American house racism was the formula foundation based in place of black people negative full equality in this country. Why is that country? Now, your epistemology also bad because it's disconnecting, objecting there, relying your faith on the federal government leads to low change. I still need to say modern episode reveal male walk up collect by the stimuli the true last night. Resolve this institution to give the ranking people associated on the percentage just as changes those institute produce knowledge that's rich in narrow outlook and in an point. Such policing and public debate states are troubling for attempts to preserve authority for detached production. Who treat words for rationalization possible while people close enough to war horrors are denied the authority you see. Finally, their assumption that great power words is obsolete relies upon a Eurocentric definition of war. This is a discursive illusion of the real words that relegate minorities. As Christian 2001 numerous, the violent countless violent history, wars of the finest believe as the song of fire, the outrage of blood history is no outrage in the same course. Nothing. This will allow Roman claim that discouraged demonstrated the light war and that Cold War brought peace. So tomorrow I'm sure Cold War only for between sovereign and state. Insurance civil wars on us because the media and the conflict anchored to the state. Their Chinese consider struggling in the state to be illegitimate or invisible. They are hidden because of fighting against people in countries that often are not even on the map. The loss of lives of the accountability states and non-sovereign states of no consequence. The Catholic either black or brown and white sovereignty remain white. Now finally they say that pragmatism. Now they say that pragmatism is good, except the YC does not use it's not primary reform because it relies upon an institution and a flawed mentality that kills it. That is far least about moving from slavery to slavery movement, slave percent, all this white over the land, the slave percent of when it bounce out, the slave complex of impossible reconciliation of freedom, unfree will itself, the slave battle when it prays for legal equal rights. Only when legal equality came to slave percent of the slave, the street equality hierarchy to pray for legal rights is slavery. The slavery social net, the players of slave is slave for money. Now they say that they control root cause. The root cause debate will be within the 1 yard. He said, now they say no social net. Social. We're not saying that we're exactly social net. We're just saying that everything within civil society is anti-black and that the alternative form of resistance because the form of no way our place within the world. Now finally go to Campbell. We will concede the permutation. We're not going to go for a condition that is way too light and too easy to be justified. Our counterfactuals, we got two condition positions we can't cross by humans arbitrary ceiling meters. Our office is information processing. Testing after the multilingual sports the after select the best arguments and that can make strategic reactive decision with large amounts of information, short time claims. That's key to effective decision making. Information saturated single markets. Now two is aptitude skills because the forces of activities tested from the left and right. That trains to be very aptitude standard great in the real world. They link to their own offense because they did not spy agent in the 2AC. That dialogue shifting the kilogram. The warming atom. There is no impact of warming. That's split into 2 the warming we see climate model and fossil evidence indicate that CO2 stand hold on about temperature, temperature, Celsius water value. We see large scale operation of phosphorus equals climate temperature rate operating. There was a rapid energy response to climate change. Now finally go to case way. The finally extended first army because they do not have a solvency advocate in the constant round. This is a theoretical voting issue because they prevent us from gaining class and effective pre-round preparation. It also prevents effective research which is the foundation of debate because if they don't have something in the literature that advocating affirmative, that means that you do not have the jurisdiction to vote for the plan. They have a couple of cards and advantages there, but not a single quote for the United States federal government should do environmental sustainable policy. The bright line for this argument is that they need to have a card that says something that's advocate for the plan text within the ONC authors. They just have a bunch of disconnected crappy cards that aren't constant. Now finally they say no debate. Venezuela says no because I'm evidence cites Maduro formally renouncing the U.S. terminating talks and stopping further efforts. Your card's in the context of Chavez, and guess what? He is dead, which is the reason why Venezuela's political pressure that say no. Finally, your argument says that they have agreed within the past. He said if they have agreed in the past, why haven't we solved yet? That proves the link to the Afropessimism and criticism because it proves that our state center system will never reform no matter how hard they try.
Take a second credit. Yeah, read that one now to answer the even if the SDs and I can card. All right, cool.
All right, another 10 seconds.
Yeah, cool.
If it's true that the slave was like socially dead, why didn't the slave masters eat the slave?
Why didn't the slave masters?
Yeah.
They did.
No, they did not physically.
Yes, that physically happened.
No, it didn't.
Yes,
You realize that slave ships got like marooned all the time, and then
Yes.
they had no.
I mean,
food.
that is a
we
terrible.
have introduced evidence that said it didn't happen. Where is
From
your evidence
who?
that said it
A
did?
white dude?
Whoa,
Your
whoa, whoa, whoa,
qualifications
whoa, whoa.
are messed up on this question because these experiments were
So you
fundamental.
don't know the card that I'm citing. You're just assuming that it's
No,
white.
I
and
read the
assuming-
card you're saying. He just says
Whatever.
that most
Your
slave
framework-
masters did
your
not eat
framework
the slave.
is that we
Guess
should
what?
try
That
to
happened.
help liberate the most oppressed group. How is it true that blacks are the most oppressed group
when plants and animals die, get slaughtered every single day?
It takes into consideration what is a group. We're saying
Okay.
that we should start based off the lowest of humanity instead of focus on non-species. That's in direct contrast with the 1C.
So when do we start looking at species?
When do you start looking at species? We
Yeah.
say that we should liberate the groups that are at the bottom of humanity before
So
we do species.
what is a species then?
What is a species? That's
Yeah.
something the 1C should answer because
Whoa,
you're.
no, it's a question I'm asking you. What is a
Why?
species?
That's
Because
not
you just said we should focus on species
No, we
versus
said
humans.
we say we should focus on humans. We know what, we know how to define humans.
Gotcha.
You say you should define
How do we
species.
live if we can't like maybe survive off the food of species? What
No.
happens when all the species are
Another
gone?
link, the rhetoric that we only have to care about species when we're about to die and we
Only.
can't live
Okay.
is the logic of white supremacy. Make sure you make
How
that
do we
clear.
link to this agency argument if it's true that we allow the reorientation of individual ethics in the debate space?
Because you don't. When
Well,
you
what?
try and tie your agency to a plan text of whether the United States federal government should do something, that's
So,
what we're saying.
Because we have read a plan
kills-
text, there is no way that
Yes.
the judge or debaters
When you
can
put your
change the
faith-
way that they look at the
When you
environment.
put your faith in the federal government, that is what causes you not to create any sort of change. Meaning, like, the federal government can solve these policies, or else we're all gonna die.
Okay,
That's the
I
type of
just-
education that we are criticizing.
Right, just making clear that we read two advantages, one based on federal government action and one based on the ethical orientation of changing our individual mindsets towards the environment. Why does that
Why
second
didn't-
advantage not meet the burden that your
Why
natural
didn't you
evidence sets
just
up of
read the
activating
second
individual
advantage? Why
agency?
did you have to tie that to
Why
a
did you
federal
read the
government
comp plan
plan?
and the critique? I mean,
That is what we are saying.
Okay.
Our role of the negative is to negate the 1C, which is what we're doing.
You're having-
And one part is negating the entire
why
first
should
part of the
the
1C.
why should the 1AC, because we say we should change the federal government, be responsible for every part of the federal government that's bad?
Because you have to question first whether or not taking action with the federal government
How
is
does the
ethical or
1AC
not.
not question whether the status quo actions of the federal government are good or not?
Because you are not calling into question the history of the United States federal government's ethically wrong
So,
policies
wait,
against other
so unless we
minorities.
go past the history of everything the federal government has done, how does that change anything?
Because that is what needs to be unflinching paradigm analysis that Willis and Evans says.
Your Willis
That's the
and
only
Evans
way
said-
to come to
Okay.
grips with the racist systems
How
that
does
have
being more
gripped the United
conscious
States
of
for the
black
entire
bodies'
history.
exclusion in society solve everything? It's true that black body can't make any progress in civil society.
What was your question?
Your Willison argument says that the black body can't make any civil progress.
That's
How does
not-
consciation solve that?
Because conscientization can say that, yes, that is true, and then it results in burning down. Conscientization is a process of learning within the world, and then we take action.
So it's critique, case, counterpoint.
Second part, you had policies. Right, 2 seconds.
So that was like
What was the order again? Sorry.
critique,
Yep.
case, counterpoint.
I have 712 left, is that what you had?
I had you at
706 before the 2NC.
Alright, cool.
So 656.
6:56.
Alright, cool.
You have it.
What's the order gonna be?
Critique, case, counterpoint.
Alright. Yeah, can I have the one more?
Yes. Here.
Is anyone not ready?
I'm not ready.
You ready now?
Their root cause claims are bogus. They say that slaves were not eaten by slave masters. However, slave traders were all murdered all the time, and slave masters had no anything to eat other than the slave that they had to eat. Also, the slaves were turned into commodity, kept themselves just like an animal caged and trapped, which means that these root cause claims are vacuous. Also, does not cause destruction of minority cultures or people leaving. No implication for ethnicity, gender, sex, homosexual identity, follow from human standard without word of bipedal, coloration, standing manly, for trajectory for human institution, also the physical community, and standard possibility for speech and not necessarily following human institutions like government, or other shepherding, they might be all. So this is irrelevant if they win the root cause claim because of the case term will mean that anti-blackness is going to turn answer perceptions or movement, which means it turns all this obviously on the case. Go on to case right now. First, it's going to be the 1AC presents a bad approach to resolving anthropocentrism. Anti-anthropocentric activism takes a colorblind approach, universalizes white values of the role of humans in nature. It ignores the way racial privilege shapes their decision that deters minorities from participating in successful challenges to anthropocentrism and turns the case by maintaining the Eurocentric value that caused anthropocentrism in the first place. That's the PW card, not the F. White ideology excludes black from the movement. Hamaka and Basel 5. Racism has been used as a potential ally for centuries. Many immigrants and European would likely peasants traded for the class consciousness for African notion white benefits of remote land profits of slavery, white information, human mood, African form animals, no brother play of slavery and human education, all cultivating knows balance one white till wall, white media segregate, organizing because they can make cultivating more about action, kind of races are weaving on the power much of the way, something annually invincible to some people, these groups are static, instead of the career now. They say that we engage in the Joji tribe, however, you know you don't, you're explicit from the cross-sex that you do not engage the Joji tribe. They don't know, there is no cross-sex that the Joji tribe wants the United States federal government to adopt their policy. Also, this is feeds into our co-option argument that just because the United States federal government does something with the Joji tribe does not mean they understand the indigenous practice, does not mean these policies will work out. The only example that Alberta gives is the organic sustainable agriculture. However, that's not going to work. If you create organic sustainable agriculture, you're probably going to have to cut down more trees, just at least concealed destruction, which means that their policies will never happen. And the United States federal government probably cannot make a sustainable policy. Now, organics suck for the environment. This is Johnson in no way. Actually, sorry about that gender language. Organics are terrible for the environment. Johnson in 2008, dairy production and major sources of greenhouse gas emissions. Organic requires 80% more land than conventional modes, 20% greater global warming potential. Could to promote acid bring organic cows for twice as much methane, meat and poultry, large agricultural communities, G emission, except control energy used to manufacture social kilo beef revolution, 12% more G. Now the wise card, extend the wise cards right here. The affirmative ritual silence discord is detrimental to environmental progress. Environmental activism that focus on specific pollution, but ignores the disproportionate ways that affect minority, marginalized people, color, weaken our ability to fight for environmental survival. That's the wise card. Now, they try to answer this saying that we are not disingenuous, that we engage in the environmental movement, but the White Card specifically says that in the environmental movement you try to gloss over the people who are affected by environmental problems more. Yes, black people in Africa are probably affected by global warming more than the people who can just turn on their AC and not care about this. This causes the difference that the environmental policy will always fail because it doesn't take into these account and it just papers it's over. Now you're also speaking from a view from nowhere. Yangtze in 2005 in philosophy involving self-infraction, deeming it relevant to conversation one of the search for truth is the best way. We are told for a reason that no one in the white philosopher presumes to speak for all of without the middle mention of its race identity. When it's an authorship, if one authority speaks from the hour, no one for one time one real power here for it to become a loss. Also, this is the armchair philosophy argument that just because we mention racism doesn't mean that we don't have to engage in the white card itself because you don't see the day-to-day violence that is occurring. Now go on to the counterplan.
No, it said no impact on warming and read there's no climate change.
What?
Read,
That's on the counterplan.
No impact to biodiversity.
Oh yeah, there's no impact to biodiversity. The style of course says that species said that in the past. This is not a offensive argument. It just means that it's not going to cause the extinction level claims that they exaggerate about, and that won't cause the destruction of the humanity. The why animals get killed in the stats. Well, we would probably say that it's the consumption caused by anti-blackness in civil society, which the critique is able to turn. Now go on to the counterplan. First, I'm looking at the policy that said first concede permutation, just a text competition. Fiat probably solves the link. Also, other non-unique argument and nothing will pass. Arguments means that politics won't matter. This is not straight because of the theory argument taking Obamacare.
No war from econ.
Oh yeah, there's no war from econ. Now, the plan represents a small non-structural change to racial hierarchies, which makes warming possible only by questioning white privilege can be ever solved for warming men. No, and if you're voting, I heard that different rights explain why at least have constantly championing an effectual approach to warming, at least have profound attempts to maintain racial hierarchies, but such as possible because the white privilege rise to a highly racialized society, exposed to racial inequality, which amounts to really losing because we're by passion, and probably have to more willing to call for non-structural change in behavior and real worry, even a global starting, be something to cover activities limits to social change existing in social framework. Thomas had a cooperative call on the website about country, they encourage Americans to change their life while inflate the tires proper and how popular mission challenge. Do not suggest Americans give up their cars a smaller home. Definitely probably urban neighborhoods or your public transportation or take all something to mitigate global climate change. Yummy greens are the ones that those SUVs. SUVs.
We have 634.
Yeah.
Separate.
407.
It'll be case, the counterplan, and the critique.
Hold on, I'll let you know when to start. I should just wait to help you.
The case counterplan critique.
What's it called?
1AR MBA 6.
Okay, I'm ready when you are, when everyone else is ready.
Yep.
They still concede the extinction is only adopting an ethic of long-range responsibility is going to be solving those sort of environmental problems that are going to cause the destruction of all life. Environmental ethics come first because it's literally the ground upon which we stand. Without any form of societal ethic, the privileged parts of society does not preserve the ecology that sustains all life, not just human society. That is going to come first. Yes, we do have a solid ethic. The entire one is improved. The necessity of obviously no piece of reference ever going to talk in the language of the resolution. It's never a safe request to argue that we should never be better with that specifically. They still had based on the advantage of the front now. They say no, but that even if they win, if there's two reasons why we don't need it. First that the ethical demand upon the state is able to solve our sort of education because it's demanding international governance strategy. Second that we are able to solve for international cooperation by making this sort of demand. That's the one. That's rather than the choice. In addition, they say yes to sustainable policy. Majority follows the same policy as Chavez. It doesn't prove the link to the case because the reason why we didn't solve before is because of the environmental ethic that the one is critiques by changing the ethical posturing of the United States. The way we don't be able to solve for this is our method is called when this simply isn't true. We've recognized the disproportionate impacts based on race that was in the that was extended through the two ACs. We agree that has impacts on racism. We argue that the starting point should be the environment because that is the root cause of all the problems we do. We are engaging with the Joshi's just not directly. We agree with the form of ethic we allow for us to engage in sustainable agriculture isn't a mandate. It's just a possible alternative. It was not a view for nowhere we adopt a form of ethic that we think is better than there. No fact about it is offensive. It says that we should allow more species to die just because they aren't as important to prevent extinction. That's sort of saying that is the same sort of extinction that they critique. That they critique with the critique. That there is an impact about it destroys all life and destroys ontological value. Counterpart.
Wait, go back. They say red practices organics are bad for the environment. Say that's not the plan. We reject any sort of organic and like.
They say organic. We're not necessarily organic. There's no like counterpart. I'm just gonna add to the iceberg argument is not obviously crossing the you could have asked and it doesn't change any sort of ground. Global warming we could see pragmatism is necessary to be able to solve because they're able to promote ideological flexibility and to determine the means for environmental engagement. Dogmatic assertion create an echo chamber that cries out close with the environment also to a better engagement with warming. We do they argument that there's no impact warming ignores the racial impact, which is what they critique in the first place. We are questioning and we use the Joshi methodology and economy to be able to solve the critique. They say the role of balance is to liberate oppression. We do that by using anthropocentrism as a starting point. It's definitely going to be the root cause because the reason why we can justify the exclusion of other populations is based on the exclusion of the animal body and aligning the black body with the animal body. They try to for us because of species. Before we look at what is at the bottom of humanity, we must that sort of perspective ignores what's below. The root cause of all the impacts is through anthropocentrism. This amount of minority being conscious, but being conscious doesn't change the authors or give rid of this society is irredeemable. We can't. They reject that idea. Now they say we don't. They say that it's just it means our education. I keep we're able to change the same. We see our agency, but that is simply not true. Governmental we are an ethical demand upon the state. Not necessarily. That's not true. The ontological ethics don't. Main policy are going to prove that we can get both Cavalcante and looking government elections is necessary. Evil inertia government education is necessary to avoid the same pitfalls that undermine environmental action and sensible community management, non-anarchy, to promote sustainable BNASF and pragmatism. Key that was extended on only a study of institutions of power can determine its fault. Rejecting the state that can consolidate power without just learning how to defeat them. Rejecting state action laws, private neoliberals to further grow politics. That's what clean of our form of ethics is able to challenge the violent ideologies of the state. The negative criticism that's the center of promoting sustainability it can become a political reality by making ethical demands on the state. We don't ethically align with everything the state is done. That's just why the permutation. The answer the one is like environmental engagement is not academic engagement is not the reason. But that is a critique of the set going out of the plan. We are able to change that sort of policy levels above. And Joti do want their cooperatives proven by when Zen went over there and they were going to be cooperating with them to show them how they engage with the environment. The U.S. may be racist, but we are able to change that sort of ideology. Means it justifies our agency there. They say it's U.S.-centric war, but that was proven. The politics system uses the same calculations as a prior question. One is he should also be set out of means that it's still the conflict is still going to lead to at least justifies our form of severance. They will justify the permutation. They said they acted as the root cause, but they didn't use factories to strip flesh from bone. They used it as an alternative to eating more animals. And there's no social death. Because people still are able to resist and use cultural resistance. That is true. Society can't get worse and justifies our use of the state because society is redeemable.
656.
Yeah.
it'll be the case, and then the counterpoint.
K, case counterpoint?
Yes.
Okay, give me a moment just to scroll up.
Ready?
Is it, okay, the counterpoint, sorry, I keep starting at the top and I don't know why, it's just the bottom warming debate. I mean, yeah, okay, give me, okay. Okay.
Alright, ready? Alright. The role of the ballot is to which ethical orientation best liberates the oppressed group. They have conceded our framework, and the negative should win this debate because the act is stuck in a racist mindset that perpetuates the harms of the YC. Every single case argument we have, and every single link argument we have is an independent reason that we could turn the case for independent reason I could vote anyway. But the terminal impact to my Christians that causes the termination of humanity, the Maryland and the Willis and evidence simply says that when you ignore racially oppressed groups of the social layer of the black slave within society, that causes justification of all types of atrocities. The Willis and evidence says that things like martial and capital and violent destruction were all born on the black body. Things how the blacks were subjugated within the past. The middle passage, style slavery, all of the historical interrogation are why the affirmative feeds into the system because they only blindly call upon the United States federal government for change when the United States federal government has a load of ethical questions that has to be answered first before it's changed. Also, the many areas of other impact. It's a decision rule. No, policy can be ethically justified if it's racist because one of the precondition for bad morals. Concede argument by the winner. This is the reason why even if they win all their root cause arguments, you should still vote negative because they have conceded that racism should be the precondition for your morality, which is what our framework and termination are. Something that they try. A lot of the limelight relies upon the fact that they have to change a lot of what we do, except I critique calls out the question, why is the United States federal government a good agent for a change? Even if they say that every individual agency should change, that Mitchell and Suzuki evidence specifically says that when you tie that type of agency to the state, that causes no change. The Farley evidence says that the perfect moment of these slaves is when you bow down with the master, saying that you need of the United States federal government a policy plan to change it, that terminally is a solvency that demonstrates the entire affirming and a link to the criticism because it means that this type of change will have no type of action within the end. The piece of Shaw Evans was also dropped into one. This is the reason why the traditional form of debate is racist and white supremacy. This is an independent reason to vote negative because that traditional form of debate is exclusionary racist that causes exclusion of debaters within the own debate because it's traditionally male and might oriented. The link to this argument is that the festival of Atlantis, which Willis and Farley evidence specifically says they don't have a single word for why anthropocentrism is the root cause of all of this. The only closest again is that the slave masters didn't eat the slaves, except we have proven that when they were removed, they ate the slaves regardless. Which is the reason why we solve the terminal root cause. More arguments of the root cause on the case. Now the ethical demands arguments. The Farley evidence says that your ethical demand cannot be able to solve it. Solution solved because your individual mindset is stuck into the Mitchell and Suzuki evidence and the Stone media evidence because you're saying that a disconnected form of objective narration, one that causes a lot of stay as an agent change is what causes these terminal policies to terminally not happen because you do not have any agency to do this. So the reason why it causes no change, the economic engagement is racist arguments is another terrorist case argument because you should just leave the joking alone. The Thornbush evidence says that when the United States government tries to engage Venezuela, it only ends up taking the resources of Venezuela and turns Venezuela into the palliation for the use capital. This is the reason why your environmental sustainable policy will never be actualized within the status quo because you will use it for profits instead of actually being environmentally sustainable. The politics now violently dropped out. It was the no war king. The Christian evidence says that your view of no war, only war between lily white sovereign states is what covers over the wars of all these minority people. The Christian, you do this. We did not link to this argument because our economic decline argument was a war between every single power except your mandible evidence links to this specifically because the mandible says that it's only no great power wars happen. That matters over the wars unless those happen without any discussion of it. The permutation and severance, the white state, but the static artifact, that was a dropped out and coming out of the debate. Now the case arguments, the extensions now arguments are not true because you have conceded the fiat double bind argument on the framework debate because if the extension is Neville, then we're all gonna die and your policy education should not be able to happen because this is gonna happen too. Or your impacts are false, which means that we're not gonna die. It's only a question of ethical orientation. I said that severance, all the link arguments are reason why the permutation is not solved. Now, also the impact, even if it happens, it's not gonna have a terminal impact. It's not gonna cause the extension because that is what we are criticizing. The wise evidence says that when you only look at environmental harms when they cause extension, that ignores the day-to-day harms of the entire human race that affects the environmental effects. You do not do this conveniently and only do this to a disingenuous end, only reading against the race team that beat you last time without reading around one, which is the reason why you should not take their footnote for the environmental race and the white team seriously. The reason why they should not get these arguments. They say you don't solve your you don't advocacy because of the logic of white supremacy. Finally, the argument about the anti-anti-protection arguments. The GMB evidence says that you must connect the dots to realize being destroyed now. You did not do this because you actually know the problems of racism within the racist movement. One card is not sufficient. You need to talk about racism functions within the
anti-anthropogenic movement and how these issues are connected with the Yamamoto line evidence specifically says that the environmental and the racial effects of environmental law. When you blindly call upon a United States federal government policy change, that means that you do not do this law in the first place. Now finally, the last argument is a solvency take argument because you do not know what these environmental sustainability policy will look like. The one example they give, they try to spike out in the one area. So what the hell does that have to do? You cannot hang your hat on the question, which is the reason why you should hang your hat on alternative. The alternative is a process of conservation, that comes on the destruction of civil society, rethinking within this space. Many such question these ethical norms. They unflinching pair with the answer that the Wilson evidence should be sufficient. Finally, the warming counterplan, the warming criticism was dropped. The reason global warming exists right now is because of overconsumption, but because of racial hierarchy. The liberal white activists say, everyone should turn off their lights, inflated tires, and buy more effective drives. However, they do not suggest things like Americans should stop their cars and move into densely populated neighborhoods. White supremacists do not want to roll the racial hierarchy, making this possible. Two impacts. One side, the United States government will not only adopt a policy which is a non-structural change, which means that they'll affirm themselves. Two sides, these environmental activities become complacent and thinking it reflects global warming because it causes the environmental movements to be justified in the first place.
407. Case, critique, counterpoint. Oh, shit. I didn't even notice that. Mr. Flo versus Stratford?
No, that's probably humans is for.
Did anyone talk about a round against Stratford with you all?
He said it was a really, really good debate. He said that he voted on invisibility.
Yeah.
He said that he never thought he was going to vote on invisibility in his life, but he said it was a really good 2
He said that he said that you could have made the argument just like straight up, we don't use the USFG.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck all this noise.
I don't know.
He said it wasn't like big enough, it was never just like fuck all this noise.
One, I did make that argument. Two, how the fuck do we use the USFG?
Right, he was saying you should have made the argument that you don't use the USFG, you know, fuck
No,
all this.
but the thing was, he meant never made that argument.
So that's a piece of invisibility, is that the state co-ops all your shit.
No. He was talking about the base institutions, not the state.
Case, K.
Case, critique, and then the counterpoint.
Alright, whatever you're ready.
Elyse, let me know when you're good.
I will. Okay, I am good.
Okay.
We're not going for a state advantage anymore, we're just going for an ethical orientation or for that means all the arguments why the state is banned, why the state's going to be filled is not applied to our Troy or affirmative anymore. Our ability to recognize the dichotomy that is split among humans from the non-human changes the way that we are going to live our individual lives, adapting and individual methodologies for the Joti ecology means that we are going to see interactions of all life forms instead of recognizing individualization, disindividualize all the people and all these life forms. We are not humans with identities anymore, we are just life forms that have ethical responsibilities to other life forms. Why is human life any more sacred than the Amazon? Why should the lives of animals be slaughtered while we are only focused on humans being racially oppressed? We are not the state, and we do not agree with any of the terrible atrocities this state has committed. We believe that making demands on society is essential to changing anything. Any argument they have based in the federal government goes by the weight that they can no longer get into our offense on, and we can still have individual methodologies. Why was it that in the lunch line of MBA they was serving meat instead of celebrating the fact that cows are just as important as a human being? We should not send them to the slaughterhouse just to feed us. They're unsustainable if it's going to kill or ultimate extinction. Our extinction framing still applies because it is tried. It is certain that if you vote on negative, that we are going to continue the methodology that is separating culture from nature, but it's going to continue us to manipulate and manage all the resources until we overuse them. We're going to continue to use oil and that level to continue to use more things until they all die. It is going to eventually be that there's not going to be any clean air to breathe, any clean water to drink, which means that human life will eventually be impossible. That means that even if we don't win anything with policy, education is going to change our individual bottom of what we're able to solve a number of the risk of offense. It means that there's try or die for any sort of individual change, your own individual. I know we are not only looking at the environmental problems. Environmental problems are human problems as well. We all live on this world. We should celebrate the interconnections of it, which means that we spill over to human change while their critique only focus on human change and then continues to perpetuate the cultural dichotomy, which will never change. The world is negative now. Their arguments that race arguments are only footnoted is merely infinitely regressive. We read a card in the 1AC that talk about how racial identities are implicated by environmental effect, and there is no impact as to why we are footnoting anything, which means it's not a 2 in our offense they can go for. We have consistently defended our methodology, which means we don't link to any sort of severance argument. We are not bowing to any massacre. We are revolting and causing an uprising against the state because we are endorsing the traitorous identity that says granted through some policy that is going to lead to extinction. Now they critique debate. They are all about deliberative press groups is inherently anthropogenic as proven by cross-stakes because he only believes that deliberative groups are ones that are human based on identity. That means that they're not going to focus on the fact that animals are dying. Even though they're critical to human life, it is true that if humans go extinct from the earth, then the rest of the environment will flourish. But if insects go extinct from the earth, then all humanity will die immediately. That means the impact should be a question of competing starting points, whether or not the environment has largely turned into the extinction as their individual solving for the oppression of black body. They have not given any warrant as to how the racializing into the black body will actually lead to extinction. Merely a claim which we should not evaluate or go for evidence. Now the root cause arguments are Pugliese evidence says goes conceded that historically it is true that the slave owners that were justified the owning of slaves only justified being based on the culture that splits humans from the wildebeest, and the dichotomy that views black people as not even a human, which means that if we separate the dichotomy and reviews the universal multiplicity of justification of identities as one, that means it's no longer possible to justify slavery because that means that black people and animals are all human, are no longer human but merely identity living on earth. That race is not a precondition because that is bad because it means we're never focused on the environment from like cause against Michael Cooey. Merely say that humans are more important and lag to the question of starting from the starting point of the environment because it is not as important as him because that is simply a flawed identity because there's nothing that is inherently true in human life that makes humans any more important than the animals or plants that we depend on for our survival. And the permutation to make the problem with the permutation for the negative is that their only links they have read are based on traditional positive debate and leaving the Joti alone, none of which we do anymore because the federal government is no longer going to engage Venezuela as far as we have seen. It is also not a traditional debate over planets. We are debating with the methodologies of our front, which means that the permutation goes conceded. We do not believe that there is no one in the status quo. Are we
bread evidence and anthropocentrism is the root cause of also the raw cookie evidence that when we managerialize populations is doing what we want to do because we view them as less than what we view as important to our society. That is the only root cause of what causes us to go into wars and also try to kill people, which means that we are recognizing that the technical value is going against human necessity, but the root cause of that is the cultural dichotomy that we break down there. It's not severance and someone's not impacted the 20 hours, which means you should not make any argument for that they were not explicitly made in the rebuttal because by 2 AR it makes it impossible to answer. We are merely kicking out of an advantage, which means that they must have links to all advantages. It's true of any critique. You cannot go for the security critique. We have a poverty advantage. Now, we didn't link to poverty because that's simply going to outweigh for the same reason you need to have a methodology link based on our anthropocentrism argument, which for you with the alternative that's of anything because it is contradicting with the entire thesis of what Woodlinson says. He believes that the black body is merely a person. There's nothing we can do about the change that, but they believe that as long as we are conscious about their black person, with someone we can do that they accept. They have no sort of argument as to why that solves it. There's also consider the one argument that there's not going to be any social sense because there's possibility for the black body to celebrate cultural differences and be able to rally around church groups and rally around different songs and ethnic cultures to prevent it and go outside of the state and still have a form of lives, which means that there is no chance that their impacts are really to extinction now. There is no argument. Their argument that their argument why federal government is good and mutual evidence based only based on the fact that we need to activate individual agencies to oppose the federal government, which is exactly what the affirmative does. We are no longer ethically oriented with the federal government. We are never in the federal government, which means that as long as we are outside of it and challenging the traditional perception, the methodology, the individual, that's good.
Warming.
Oh yeah, warming. We are not going. Our warming impact is just based on the fact that we just celebrate the culture of the economy. That's form of family, which means that we solve the root cause. It's not one question.
Okay, I want to vote. I want a bigger vote.
Okay, but
I love you.
yeah, you might have killed me there.